I'm Laura-Lynn Thompson. Welcome to the last days. We are going to be talking about some of the things going on in our world that are really hard to understand, but that we have to have wisdom, compassion, and solid understanding in how to talk about it and how to proceed. So my guest today is going to be Pastor Kevin Cavanaugh, and I'll bring him on in just a few moments. Recently, you may have seen that amazing show that Tucker Carlson did. He had a young lady. She had transitioned from female to a male gender, and then she changed her mind and went back to being female. Well, of course, you can understand that she was ostracized for all of that, and that YouTube initially, I believe, had taken down that interview that Tucker Carlson did with her. It was absolutely phenomenal for her to describe completely in her own words why she went through this, what she did, how the school and community showed her, this opportunity, as they called it, to alter her gender instead of really just embracing who God had made her to be. So, in light of all this, a lot has been coming out recently as we've seen that, guys who call themselves girls end up being in swimming competitions. And the whole area of female sports has been affected. Personally, if I was someone who was training for the Olympics and I had spent the last 10, 15 years of my life training to be the best in a sport of all time, I would find it extremely disconcerting that a guy who says he's a girl and has more muscles, greater body mass, greater strength, would suddenly be competing against me as a woman in women's sports. Think of the position it puts everyone in, where you don't want to hurt the guy's feelings because he obviously is confused, but you also have a life as well. And for anybody who's been in professional sports, you know that you have invested thousands of dollars and thousands of hours in order to get to that level of professionalism, to be the kind of athlete that can compete in something worldwide and at the top of the game. All of that is just now looming over us as the feminists of the world seem to stare and blink a lot because they don't quite know what to say, because now suddenly their left-leaning thinking of progressivism is clashing with their stand for women's lib and women's equal opportunities and all of that. And suddenly a man is in the lead again because he claims he's a woman. I mean, it's just, it's really too crazy, isn't it?
Oh, you crazy.
If you remember back a while ago, there was this show, and there was a young guy that had become a girl. I won't even give the show, promo, but basically they went in to do the operation, and the hormones that this young guy had made it impossible, because it didn't give enough room for everything. It stopped the growth of his natural penis, so they didn't have enough material to actually try to make a female looking part. It was my understanding that there was no sexual attraction that this young man felt any longer for men or women. He just didn't have sexual urges. Can you imagine that if you're going to, for women, cut off the breasts, for men, if you're going to, cut off penises, they don't grow back. And of course, it alters your ability. Any kind of, operations down there is probably going to ruin forever your ability to have a sex life. So I have done some reading that some people say it's not bad. Some people are able to still, experience some sexuality, but a lot of people, it's destroyed. So these are some of the problems that are faced. these are things that are not talked about. I used to speak with a transgender, or at least, he liked to dress in women's clothing, but he would tell me something very obvious. He said, like, who's going to want somebody? Think about how you are limiting your options for a life partner. Think about, as a parent, and some of you might be facing this right now, do you want to support your child in this, or is this a phase, or is this a seed that has been planted that has no merit in scientific authenticity, has no merit in how God created us, but seeds have been planted in your daughter or son, and now you're finding it difficult whether to support. You've got doctors saying, they're going to be suicidal if you don't help them. And yet the suicidality in this category is huge. And we do not have a world rejecting transgenders. We have a world supporting and celebrating transgenders. And yet the suicidality rate is huge. Why? Because as my former transgender, he was someone that I spoke with on stages and whatnot. He explained that, imagine if you're a guy and you're gay. Do you want a guy who used to be a girl who's trying to be a guy? No, you're attracted to guys. Do you want a girl do you want to, and so if you're a girl, then turn it on the other way. If you're a girl, do you want a girl who's trying to be a guy, or a girl, if you feel like you're a lesbian, do you want a girl who's a girl but now looks like a guy?
I'm confused.
Now, barring whether your belief is in homosexuality being okay or not, or you have religious convictions that tell you that this is not God's best at all, this is not God's way, no matter what you're setting yourself up for in this frank conversation that I'm having with you is a lot of pain. A lot of pain. That's the reality. And I went on stage after stage talking about this reality, that if you are going to go along with this, understand you're putting your child in a category of people that a very small percentage of people would truly love that person for life and embrace a monogamous, beautiful relationship. And if there has been surgeries, there seems to be endless complications. Now, the Florida Department of Public Health releases a statement on the treatment of gender dysphoria in children and adolescents. I happen to be in Florida right now, and they have released this statement. Due to the lack of conclusive evidence and the potential for long-term harm, irreversible effects, the department's guidelines are as follows. And this is a department dealing with children. It's a medical department of experts. Social gender transition should not be a treatment option for children or adolescents. Anyone under 18 should not be prescribed puberty blockers or hormone therapy. Gender reassignment surgery should not be a treatment option for children or adolescents based on the currently available evidence, which they show, and you can link to it, and it will be in our program, in all of our resources that we have. You'll be able to see that if you click on it. Encouraging mastectomy, ovaryectomy, I don't even know what that is, uterine extirpation, penile disablement, tracheal shave, the prescription of hormones which are out of line with the genetic makeup of the child, or puberty blockers are all clinical practices which run an unacceptably high risk of doing harm. Sorry for butchering reading that. Now, upon this release of Tucker Carlson and the young woman who, changed and then changed her mind and changed back to living fully the female gender, a lot has come out. And because of this press release in Florida, it's really sending shockwaves through everyone. But of course, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says that teachers should talk with the kindergartners about gender identity, and she feels it's just going to do nothing but harm children now that you're stopping these operations. Let's take a look at that video.
Specifically here about teaching about sex in kindergarten through third grade, I have to say as a parent, I would have problems with that.
But the law is not about teaching sex education. It's about teaching about gender identity. And so what do you do if a parent or a kid, should I say, a kid in one of these elementary schools says, what about Sally? Sally has two moms, or I'm not sure if I'm a girl or a boy. I mean, these are kids who are experiencing, these moments in their lives. I also think that there's not a big record of there being either sex education or extensive gender identity education in these schools. And this is creating a problem or a political cudgel about an issue that I don't think exists.
Yeah, so she's really out of touch and completely oblivious and ignorant of all things, especially how she reports the news every night. These people have absolutely no idea. They don't know what's going on. Jen Psaki is weighing in on things she has no business weighing in, and she should just stay out of this realm and, stick to trying to defend Joe Biden, which is getting harder by the day.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure